So I'm the first up, so I get to say this. I think it's great that you guys came tonight to root your family and friends on. As for my part, I hope it's not too painful. It'll be over before you know it. So one opening remark. In my presentation, I'm going to make reference to the YMCA, right? You heard Dan say 35 years, so I ooze the YMCA. So, but I am very passionate about the Y, and believe me, I am not trying to get you to join the Y. It is just the backdrop for my story. So my Y career has been an amazing journey. I have literally met thousands of great people. I've gotten to watch them survive, succeed, embrace challenges, and forever they inspire me, how they overcome and how they strive for a better life. Over and over, I find myself being in awe of resilience and fortitude demonstrated by the human spirit. I met Don at one of the Ys I was working at 20 years ago. I still remember the day he walked in. This guy had a big personality, big presence, friendly, and he had a sneaky sense of humor. First question he asked me as soon as he joined, he says, "Hey, I'm a runner. Is there a running club I can join?" And I said, "Sure, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5:30 a.m. running club." Next day, there's Don, right, part of the group. In fact, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Don showed up. And in a short time, he became an integral part of that running group. You see, you run at 5:30 in the morning, that's a tight-knit group, right? And you know, one thing I've noticed at the Y over the years is that those small groups, that's where connection happens. That's where people bond and they form relationships. In fact, that's why people come back to the Y, because of those relationships. You see, Don was a really devoted person and supporter of that group, and they became a tight-knit group. Well, a couple of years went by, and I actually moved to another branch, and I lost contact with Don until I received a phone call from him one afternoon. It was kind of a surprise, right? I hadn't heard from him. Don had a specific question. He said, "Hey, if someone's experiencing financial difficulties, how do they become a member of the Y?" And I assumed, you know, it was for a friend. So I said, "Hey, why don't you let me call them directly? I can help them." And there was a pause on the other side of the line. You see, the person he was asking to help was himself. To say the least, I was shocked that Don was asking for help to pay for his membership. See, Don was a successful businessman. He built his company from the ground up. He poured his heart into that company. For him to ask for help to pay for his membership was a shock. I could hear the heartbreak through the phone because of how much that company meant to him, because he had to close the doors. And if that wasn't enough, he shared with me that he and his wife had separated. I was clearly talking to a broken man. On this call, I could tell he was desperate for something positive to happen in his life. He talked about that, the bonds of connection from that Monday, Wednesday, Friday running club, the support, the interconnection that he had experienced. I knew we had to get him back to that experience. So we did. Over the next couple of years, I'd hear from Don from time to time. He liked to keep me in the loop, right? He wanted me to know what was going on in his life. See, Don had to leave the area to get consistent work. Went to Spokane and Bellingham and other places. But he always made it back to that other family. He called it his second family, that running group, because that was his connection and support. See, it was great that, right, Don, at the end of every phone call, he would say the same thing. He said, "Charlie, I'm making a comeback." It was exciting because I knew Don was a fighter. He was gritty. A couple of years went by, and I lost contact with Don until I received a letter from him. He wanted to inform me that the Y no longer needed to pay for his membership. He was back on his feet. I could feel his spirit in the letter. He was back. He was grateful for the support of all his friends along the way. He said he wouldn't have made it without that. But he said a few things in this letter that still stay with me today. See, Don felt he had it all in his life. See, it took him a while to come to grips with it, but he said to me, he said, losing it all was the best thing that ever happened to him. See, he knew people were important to him, but he measured himself by the things he had, by the possessions and his achievements. But see, in the end, it was the people who loved him most, his family and his friends, that he felt deeply most about. The other thing was that the hardest thing he ever had to do was ask for help. He didn't realize this about himself, that he was so proud that he couldn't humble himself to ask for help. But only until he could he move forward in his life. See, to get stronger, he had to understand that he had to receive. See, I've kept that letter from Don. I read it from time to time. I remember the last paragraph, and his last paragraph still sits with me today. He says, Charlie, we're all on a journey in life. It's a great journey. You know, it's inevitable that you're going to stumble and fall at some point. But at that point, it's okay to ask for help. Because what makes this journey great is that we get to do it again. We get to do it with each other. In the end, we need each other. God bless you guys. Thank you.